You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Smile, everyone. Woo. God. I've been here since 8 a.m, Dom.
I'm going to do that as the intro.
Is that the intro? Yeah. It's been a long day, man. Long day, yeah. How are you?
Let's chat about that. Let's chat about that. Hello, everyone. It's the Boom One and the Zoomer. Dom Sacco and Nathan Edmonds. This is like episode 8 or 9, and we're at Insomnia 71, Birmingham NEC. Yeah. So you've been here, you've been working.
I did, yeah. Doing, helping out with Prem, ESL Prem. I got here at, I think, 8:30ish. And what time is it now? Is it like 11:30?
It's got to be 11:30.
You go a bit crazy, don't you? Yeah,
you said to me, let's do a Boomer and Zoomer, Dom. And I said, there's the League of Legends community event, which was like 7 to 11. Then I was supposed to interview Mighty Max from Endpoint. Unfortunately, he had to dash pretty quickly, so I'm going to do that online. But then we just got some food, and now it's 11:30 in the press room. There was the cleaner in here, and she let us come in, even though it was locked and everything. Shout out to the cleaner. So that's been a long day for you. Why do you have to start at 8? The matches were early, weren't they?
The stream... When did the stream start? My brain's mush, mate. The stream started at, was it 10, I think?
You're right.
So the hour before...
Semis.
Yeah, the hour before was just like I made this decision because we have a morning stand-up at 9 o'clock, so I wanted to be there for that, so I might as well travel, then set my laptop, make some graphics beforehand, all that good stuff, right? So I'm prepped. But it's just funny because I don't feel like I'm shattered, but I just feel like I'm not fully there.
When you're on your feet all day, you do feel it.
To be fair, I was sat down most of it.
I'm
sat down most of it. Like I can't claim that I was on my, running about everywhere. But you go through stages, don't you? Of like, I think you suppress like certain lengths of tiredness. You just go into this weird like you're on reserves. Do you know what I mean? It's like you're storming through, but you don't know what is keeping you going.
It's like a second wind.
Because I had no Hoover here.
Got the Hoover, but don't worry, we've got a directional mic. So it won't pick up much.
Yes, yeah. I've been on reserves for half the day because, mate, it's hot, isn't it? You forget because I've been in all day. Really I forget that it's been hot outside because it's been like nice and cool in here most of the time.
And this is later than most Insomnias, right? Most Insomnias is August, 23rd to 26th. We're now September. This is 9th today, or 8th or 9th. 8th today, 9th Saturday. But it's still really hot. And I checked my weather on my iPhone before I got out because I was like, do I need to bring extra layers with me that I had in my car? And it's like, no, because it's like 23 degrees or whatever even now, and it'll still be that in the morning, so I didn't bother. Yeah,
I was sweating outside. Then when I got in, I was cold because we were right underneath like the air conditioning, so we were getting blasted like the whole day. It went well. I think it went well. We're all happy with it, so we'll take that.
So we're with a tired Nathan today. Yeah. So I guess I can't ask you for your honest thoughts about the CS tournament because you worked on it.
Yeah,
it must have been fun to work on.
It was, yeah. I think we're all happy with it. Not really I think it was the first time Prem was at Insomnia for, God, how many years was it? I think it was 2018 was the last time or something. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been about, I think it was almost 4 years in the article I did. And I've just realised something, Nath. This is probably the last ever CSGO Insomnia LAN.
Yeah. I think one of the casters said that, that's probably correct, isn't it? CS2 on the horizon.
The next one will be April time. It'll be out by then, fully. We're still in that. I haven't followed it that closely, but it's like some kind of closed beta thing, isn't it?
Yeah, for people, if you play Counter-Strike Global Offensive, you got this and this, then you can play CS2, so we're super close, aren't we?
So you've worked on a historic, as it's called.
And we did work at Blast too, which was labelled as the last CSGO major, wasn't it? Yeah.
You do all kinds of stuff at Hot Drop, don't you?
We do, mate, we do. Yeah.
Shout out to Kiernan, ex-scoundrel low, because Kiernan has to check these videos, right? Make sure Nathan is saying the right things and all that. So hi, Kiernan. We'll make this video extra long for you.
Yeah, extra long and full of PR disasters. No, we were... most of the podcasts were pretty good, weren't we? I think I just cocked up on the last one, mentioning...
It was only a little thing.
Yeah, we won't talk about what we mentioned because we'll have to remove it again.
Yeah. When we started doing these podcasts, we were talking about esports careers and all kinds of stuff, and also some topics. I mean, if we think about esports, for me, esports topics at the moment, we've had some crazy stuff going on with orgs, the Guard. I know it's not UK esports, all that nonsense, the Cronkies, and I won't go into it, but you can Google it. And it's basically a Valorant team, wasn't it, who earned the right to play in the VCT Americas. and then the Cronkies lot didn't do stuff with the forms and whatever else they needed to do, paperwork. It just sounds like a nightmare. Now the players don't get to play in there, but Riot have said recently, or we're looking at reversing it. And then there's some other stuff. There was something going on with Xset. Some of the former players, including a UK player, Def, I think, was. I think they were arguing that they didn't receive what they were owed around revenue share, in-game item stuff, and there's some legal case going on. There's been a lot of negative story. Oh yeah, eFuse, the other day I wrote about, there was this creator league. I really like did you see that? No. I really like the idea of it. It's like you get different popular creators, like I think there was IShowSpeed and a few others on there. There was a Welsh guy, and that gave me the UK angle to write about it. And the idea was you pay $20 for like a pass, and then you get to vote on decisions that team makes. But the problem was there was apparently some blockchain integration with it. Okay. Like, I don't know if it was crypto or NFT or something. They said it wasn't an NFT, and some of the creators were like, they realised it and they were like, I didn't sign up for this. And now they've gone back to the drawing board. But it's been a lot of messy stories. You know, I know those aren't UK specific stories. UK specific ones, Into the Breach, I've been writing a lot about them. They're changing their CS roster. It's on my list. I didn't get round to writing it yet. Been to
their booth today?
No, I need to check it out Saturday.
It's quite a cool booth.
But they were penalised during a Rainbow Six match because someone climbed up on a window, not in real life, in the game, and I think Ubisoft class it as a sort of exploit or something you're not supposed to do. You're not supposed to get that high up. So I've been writing a lot about Into the Breach. But anyway, I've waffled for a bit. What do you feel about recent shenanigans, Nathan?
We've always had this, haven't we? Like, we think we've always had it, but like,
Esports.
but like, people are more aware of it this year. I thought Jacob Wolf's recent article was fascinating.
I don't know if I read that one. Remind me what that one
was. Their finances.
Oh yeah, I think I did read through that.
And you know, I spoke to a good friend of ours. I won't mention him because I'm sure he won't appreciate it. But he made a really good point in the sense that those articles just never reach the masses, do they? Even though it's
a
so
shame.
important. It's so important because it's really scary. But nobody cares. Like,
it's the thing. I've done investigative articles, like dodgy behaviour by orgs and things. Doesn't get many views. Hannah, shout out to Hannah, did an article on like a preview, a guide to the ALGS Championships at Birmingham, like everything you need to know, who are the casters, what's the prize pool, all that, what the team's doing, and that's done well, like, and rightly so. But people want stuff they can find through Google, like, oh, what are the teams taking part in this tournament? And I don't feel like a lot of people are that bothered about things like that much. People who are bothered are people like us who are in esports and or care about it.
It seems strange, doesn't it? Yeah, but I think it was a natural period that we've had to go through, and is this year the year that we go through it? Who knows? Of the sense of like this restructure, right? Of like, what does the industry take the next necessary steps to ensure the longevity of it and ensure that everybody else is involved can, remain or not remain because many weren't, become profitable. So the future.
Esports remainers.
Yeah. I knew you'd say something like that. But something needs to happen. And what happens from whose side? Is it the publishers that need to set certain things in place? Is it this or that? Because they've obviously got a lot of power with the titles. Is it the leagues? Is it the orgs need to make a pact? I don't know what the solution is. Like, whoever, if anyone did know the solution, they'd be a very, very wealthy person, wouldn't they? Because they'd solve the issue that we're having right now. But yeah, I was speaking to a couple of people at the event today that work in commercial and partnerships, and some give a vibe of they're really struggling, but other give a vibe of like, well, actually we're seeing more people interested, but with the tangent that they just want to do a 1-year contract type of thing. Do you know what I mean? Want to trial out the space, see what it's about first, right?
I know it's different for me, but when I entered the start of this year, shout out to my Patron supporters. I do like a weekly vlog, a little behind the scenes video, and in one of
Patron supporters, you got a few.
There was about 11 or 12. It's gone down to about 8 or 9 now. Because a few.
Consistent, let's stay.
I had a few long-term supporters say, Dom, thanks. I'm sorry, I don't have the extra whatever it is a month. It's been hard for everyone. But at the start of the year, I did do a couple of videos where I was saying, like, unless I get sponsors in, I'm going to have to look at other things freelance. But then I had 4 months in a row of coverage partners from MSI up to now. And then weirdly, I thought for September, we've got Insomnia, LGS, this and that. I thought, and I had 5 or 6 sponsors interested. I thought, this is great. I might get 2 or 3. I didn't have any. And that's just the nature of business and things.
Commercial.
And I know I'm not an esports team signing big deals. No way. Like these deals that I do will be pittance compared to that, just to help me like pay my bills and stuff. And I'm a small independent site. But yeah, I echo what you're saying. I feel like brands will always have the funds to do things that they are interested in doing. These are big companies. Well, a lot of big companies that are engaged in esports.
There's always spare budget. Yeah, there's always spare budget to throw at something. But I just find it interesting that the sentiment is that they're still interested. Don't get me wrong, they're still interested in activating within our space. It's just they'd like to. Most it seems, the larger ones, I won't name names, but are happy to commit to 3-4 year deals because they also have the revenue.
BMW did that, and then they all pulled it all at the start of the year. Didn't
True.
they?
Yeah. But I think a lot of them just want to trial it and justify it. So that puts a lot of pressure. Like when you sign a 3-4 year contract, it's like pros and cons to it is that I guess as a team you're looking at like we can relax. We've got a long period to ensure this company has value. When you've got a year contract, it's like, oh my god, I've got a speed run the next 12 months to ensure this person wants to stay with me again. Do you know what I mean? Which is stressful, I can imagine. Yeah. But yeah, so the commercials are. It's interesting how it's affected that. But that was a small segment where I may be totally off there. That those two people may just be totally.
It's interesting. I had an email the other day, and it was a survey in it. I can't remember who it was from now. I think it might have been like some US esports conference or something like that. And it was one of those ones where, hey, do it for 10 minutes and you can win a gift voucher or whatever. But I like to do those ones. I don't know, I haven't won, but I like to do ones that are about esports industry and things, just to, and it had some interesting questions around, like, I didn't think of it before. It said, how do you feel the esports market will be in 2024? Do you think it will have improved from now? Wow. I've said it's going to be about the same. I don't think it's going to improve. Massively.
I'd agree about the same. Yeah, about the same. I'd hopefully being more optimistic and say a slight improvement. Because we've seen a big dip, haven't we, this year? But then let's slowly get back to.
We haven't seen tons of esports orgs go under. I thought we would have had more. We've still got all those big ones, haven't we? Your TSMs and your Liquids and all of that, Optics.
But I think 2023 is the prediction of this happening, isn't it? It hasn't happened yet. Got a couple months, 4 months left, haven't we? Really,
we lost a big UK one, I should say, for this podcast. I say big, kind of a big franchise brand, the London Royal Ravens, and now the Carolina Royal Ravens, which is sad to see. Odie's gone, the streamers are gone, they're changing their roster. I don't know what their roster is yet. That's sad to me, and I think it's sad for a lot of. I've seen even the BBC did an article the other day on it, and they were quoting fans. And fans were saying, they're upset because they don't have a UK team or a European team for that matter in the COD League anymore. It's all US, and it's like Overwatch, isn't it? It's very North American focused. Will the London Spitfire disappear? I don't know.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
At some point.
It was it always was very American franchised style, wasn't it?
Whereas they're technically Cloud9, aren't they? Spitfire. Yeah. So are they really UK or just because they've got London in the name? You know.
We'll give credit to Riot for the LEC. I think that's like not perfect, obviously, but I think a very good example of what franchising can do and work well as. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree, and there are elements. It's like a yes and no answer. I'm thinking of because this isn't. Someone wrote recently, I don't know if it was Richard Lewis or someone that wrote about franchising in esports in general. Yeah, it was around this, the Guard story, right? And it's a franchising issue. And it made me think back to when franchising was first announced in League of Legends. I think it was 2017. It was for NALCS first. Yeah. But LEC was a year or two later. But when the LCS thing was announced, the franchising, I wrote an opinion piece saying why I'm not a fan of franchising, because I'm a bit of an old school traditional sports fan, football fan. I like the tiered system, promotion and relegation.
If you play bad, you get knocked out.
Yeah, and now we can't get stories like Renegades Banditos who made it through to the from the ESL, old League of Legends ESL Prem, through to the Challenger Series, to the EU LCS as it was then, and then they became Misfits, rebranded, new owners and all of that stuff. You don't get those success stories anymore. And I feel like we're coming full circle. So there are elements of franchising I admire, the sustainability maybe for some of the teams, but still, how sustainable is esports? But then there's the other elements of, you can't get those great underdog stories. If you're a great National League of Legends team, yeah, like you go to the EMEA Masters, okay, you win that, then what?
Yeah.
All your team, some of your players get picked up by LEC teams, great, and then you've got to build a new roster.
No, mate, I agree with the sentiment. Do you remember 2018 ESI London, the first one, where Lurpis and Carmack took the stage to argue? Do you remember that?
What was it? What EU Masters one?
No, ESI London.
Oh, sorry, ESI London.
Yeah, in 2018 in Olympia. Yeah. Carmack and Lurpis had a debate.
I think I wasn't there for that.
The room was packed, and I was so buzzing for this. Because at the time, so Carmack was obviously fighting for anti-franchising, and Lurpis was the opposite. Because I think he's a bit American, isn't he? But at the time too, little 18-year-old, myself, was absolutely totally against franchising. And then at the same time, at the same event, it was when Excel had just confirmed funding from, is it Guinevere Capital, Dave, and they had just come in. Did they have the LEC spot then in September 2018? No. Did they not?
I think it was
it very close?
I think it was late 2018.
Yeah.
So September they probably would have been doing the application, or I think it was announced November or December that year.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And because I remember speaking to Alex Harris, if you remember him. Yeah. Good man.
I don't know what he's doing now.
I'm unsure too, man. Yeah, I'm unsure. Bless him. He's a free spirit. And then Kieran Holmes too was there, and
Kieran Holmes 2, is that the clone of Kieran Holmes 1? I'm on poor humour form today. I don't know what I'm doing.
It's 11 o'clock. Jesus.
It's only 12, I think.
Yeah, Christ. We congratulated them for the funding, but yeah, I don't think LEC was confirmed. And then obviously I joined Excel 2 years later, so I benefited off the ecosystem, which was franchising and the LEC. And I think whilst my time was there, really understood. I can't list all the different things that you get. A lot of things are public and what Riot gives you, but the other things that aren't too public are fantastic, real good. And yeah, it's just that security, isn't it?
And the price, we saw it with Schalke.
Mate, when they deployed that, Jesus,
they made a few million. Yeah. I don't know. I think they sold for 26 point something million euros, but the buy-in was, I can't remember what the buy-in was now, 10 to 15 or something like that. And also, speaking of Excel, we've just had Wouter, their CEO, just departed. Oh, sorry, he wasn't their CEO in the end. He changed.
A couple months.
Tim Reichert is still their CEO.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was. I think Esports Insider did an article that had former Excel CEO departs. So obviously, Wouter's been at Fnatic, and then he'd been at Excel. So I don't know what's next for him or what's next for Excel, but. I'd like to see Excel do more events and things. Again, it all ties in with events, with community. Yeah. We've seen this, I'm sure there's another video I can link to this, me walking around the Insomnia League of Legends community night. I enjoyed it. I want to see more stuff like that.
It was really nice. I will give credit, Excel's booth is really cool.
I'll check that out tomorrow.
They've got a couple of different activations. I think I've got in my pocket. They've got this EE, and I said to Jordan, I was totally honest, I was like, I don't give you credit for a ton of things, but this is really good. So there's this, you take a photo on a green screen, it's real easy, you just click, take a photo. Yeah. It gets printed, and then you add
oh wow.
So you add different things to it. So you'll add abilities and shit, and then it gets printed out.
You're not Ellis again.
No,
you're doing that as a joke.
And you get printed out. Mine's a shiny, a little shiny card, really which is wicked, right? As a fan,
it's like a player card.
Yeah. Right? The only thing I did say to Jordan, I'm sure he doesn't mind me saying here, is that the thing is with certain booths, it doesn't matter how cool of a booth that you've got. If it's not obvious what you do, it's pointless. If people aren't walking past it thinking, "Oh, that looks really cool. I want to get involved." Maybe
need a slogan that's premium UK esports brand or something.
Something.
Whatever.
So there's XL booth, then there's the EE booth. You'll see tomorrow when you have a little wander about, and then there's obviously the new partner that they announced, which is a chair. But the EE booth, I could have walked past it 10 times and not have a clue that you take a photo, get a printed card out. Right. If I knew I was getting a printed card out, I'd be there straight away, Dom.
Do they have a phone booth here like they had at Gamescom?
Yes, yeah.
Because that got some criticism about saying, "Oh, why are you doing jumping?" But it's searching in. It's not people jumping in, hurting themselves.
Exactly. I get because I was the first to jump on the criticism as like a joke, right?
Okay. Okay. I saw some legit criticism. Like,
I saw the tweet. Yeah, you saw the tweet at Gamescom, right? Saying, "Have we not learned yet?" or something like that.
Yeah, and it's like, did you read their tweet? They're not jumping in it. They're exploring for things. If you jump in it,
you just have to crawl in and find like points and all that. I'll tell you, I will never ever.
That's an example of. I'm sorry, but I want to point this out because it annoys me as a journalist. That is an example of people seeing stuff and not looking into what it is properly, and it's
100%.
I see this and I do it, and it's, you know, you need to take your time and think. And I get it as well. I'll do an article or I'll do a headline, and people, they think they know what the article is, but they don't.
Because they read the headline. That's
and
what
it annoys me, honestly. The amount of articles I've done that have, obviously not everyone, but I remember them. The articles that have done very well on Twitter, or X as it is now. There's a few that spring to mind that have had like whatever, hundreds of thousands or millions of impressions, and that has not translated into hundreds of thousands or millions of views. People aren't clicking on it.
I've got an interesting example. Your tweet recently, because I've actually had conversations about this with people. They said to me, because your tweet said, unfortunately, I wasn't able to confirm a sponsor for this year's Insomnia.
Yeah.
And it kind of ended there, right? But then your second tweet, and like Twitter doesn't show the full thread these days, or it's lucky if it shows on your timeline. You have to click on it, right, to show it.
I did put a thread icon
to
make it clear to people to click.
The thing is, it's funny because so many people said to me, they were like, "Oh, I think I mentioned." They were like, "What are your plans for Insomnia now?" I mentioned at the end of the day, I want to record a podcast with Dom. And they're like, "Dom's not going, right?" And I was like, "No, he is." If you clicked on the thread and read the second post, he was like, "I'm still going," but
I had a few people saying,
really,
you're not there, Dom. I'm like, no, I am, because I'm there just for one night and a bit of a day, because I can't afford a hotel that is whatever 5, or with all the travel it gets to silly money, you know.
Petrol.
So I've just done it for one night, and it's working out quite well so far.
That's a good example of people just not. Obviously, arguably too, because you play devil's advocate, can't you? I could play it and say you could have made it clearer in the first tweet. But they could also say people aren't doing enough. Like they take the front face value, and that's it, right?
And I could do that more, but I don't. As a journalist as well, or a writer, you are kind of trained to. You don't want to give everything away straight away, because then what's the point in reading the whole article? And that worries me. What is the point of reading a whole article? People don't want to read it. But then you could say the same thing. What's the point of reading a whole book? Not a fiction book, but if you're reading a factual book and you need to learn something, like, maybe you just want to get to the point you want. And maybe journalism is more like a factual book than it is a creative thing. But then, I haven't done this enough. I like writing fun, creative pieces. The problem with me is I've realised this over the past year. I'm better at editing than I am, I think, like investigative journalism. I don't have time for investigative journalism. I don't have time to write the articles I want. So talking of LEC, I've wanted to write a piece for ages now, how I'm not a fan of the free splits and how they have the playoffs, and I'm not a fan of free ranked seasons in league. I know it's not come in yet. I have other views on, I'd rather just one season. And then people are saying like, oh yeah, but we have such a break towards the end of the year pre-season. Well, chop the pre-season down then to 2 weeks if you don't want it to be boring and long, and then just have a whole year of a season. And you could have checkpoints. You could have 3 checkpoints, but don't reset everything after. Or there'd be ways of doing it. But anyway, I'll save that for an article. I'm gonna write. What do you think of the free and the free, Nath?
I don't. To be honest, I don't watch a ton of LEC these days. I don't watch a ton of esports, man. If I have to,
don't get the time.
I do it. I did it a ton because it's my job at Excel, wasn't it? Like part of my job. But I did enjoy it. Don't get me wrong, but I did it because I had to. That's the reality. I need to know all the teams are doing, all the different players. I need to know all the different contexts of the situations. Like, is Caps great at Oriana or this and that? God, you need to just watch all of it, don't you? But since then, I watch the titles, a little bit of Counterfeit, a little bit of Valorant, a little bit of League of Legends when I have to.
Too many games
because of the job. It's like,
what about the free splits, ranked splits? Because I know you're someone who plays ranked league.
Doesn't bother me at all. Like, I think that's fine.
But you've got the time to do it, haven't you?
I think it's like, I mean, I don't play a ton of League, but like it's enough that I would still do my 10, or is it 5? It's 5 placements now. That's what they've cut down to.
Yeah, because I haven't done my placements this split. and I've won 3 out of 5, and I was like, oh, it's only 5. I do like some of the changes they've made. You don't need to do when you go up a whole rank. You don't need to play 5 best of 5 and stuff.
That should have changed.
The amount of times when I peaked at gold a few years ago, and going from silver 1 to gold 4, whatever it was the most annoying thing. And I think they do it. I've seen it. Groscore's been moaning recently because he nearly made it to Grandmaster, and he dropped from Master 400 LP down to D1. And is there a thing of when you're just below the next rank, you drop? Because you've been to plat and stuff before, but what is that like from gold 1 to plat? It's hard, isn't it?
You just get matched with absolute animals.
I feel like you do. And people say losers queue is a myth. I don't know if it's losers queue. I think it's just the algorithm of League.
But it's kind of like I can't search tangent here, but not that you use dating apps anymore, mate. Happily married for 9 years.
I used Tinder One to do some research when League of Legends was added as a thing. I'll put the link in the description.
So what they do is a fascinating. Don't know how I know this, of course. Don't know. Is they have this fascinating thing that as soon as you download the app, then you have a burst of they will put you at the front page of people. So and guarantee you somebody that likes you. So you're like, oh,
so it keeps you in.
So oh well, I liked that quick. And then when they'll give you after that burst of dopamine, they give you a long drought again of you won't get anything. They'll close the app and it's pointless. And then boom, you get a notification saying, oh, you've got a like again. It's like, oh, how's they done that? And again, it's that algorithm pushing you again to keep you chasing it.
I feel like
it's clever, but it's naughty.
Yeah. It is, and I feel League's similar because I don't know if you get this now. Say you've stopped playing League for a month or 2. When you go back to it, do you get a bunch of wins? Because I do. I get a bunch of easy games.
I could no, I don't. Yeah, no, I don't think so. It's kind of it's even to be fair.
Okay. And it could be all psychology thing. This is all nonsense I could be talking about right now.
Something I'm fascinated by is that I was reading this book called The Happiness Advantage, and they were talking about luck. Obviously, luck isn't real, right? It's a figment of our imagination of oh, that's lucky, I guess, right? It's funny that
I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's funny because there's a study done of I guess people with a positive outlook and they've had a positive day and they ensured that they had a positive experience at the start of the day, whether that was giving them a lollipop, for example. They didn't eat the lollipops, it wasn't a sugar rush, they just gained something, right? And then at the end of the day they checked in with them again and they were like, oh, how was your day? How what would you rate it in terms of luck factor? And they rated it really high. They felt they were really lucky. Whereas people who had a negative day didn't feel like they got any luck at all. They weren't given a break. And it's but the examples were, they went through a pretty similar day, but it would be, for example, it's oh, you just got into the office and it's rained outside. The positive outlook would be, oh, I'm really lucky, I've just missed the rain, right? The negative outlook would be, of course it's raining now and I've got to look out my window and look into rain, it's just a gloomy day. It's fascinating how different outlooks can really change the entire process. Because what he's trying to say is that we're stuck or society has taught us that we need to do good work before we get that rush and feel successful and feel happy with ourselves. Actually, it's the opposite. You do good work when you feel happy and positive about yourself. So it's about changing that mindset as much as you can to looking on the positive side of things and being positive about things, to ensure that it just goes in a loop, that you do good work and then you're positive about it, then you do good work and more good work and it's positive about it, rather than thinking, I need to get to this point to finish this project and it's in a good place, and then get a short bit of I'm happy about it, and then you go back into the slump again.
What I do. That
really, yeah.
My to-do list and things.
It's fascinating. There's many things you can do, right? I think that it is just it's a mental shift, which is very difficult. It's much easier said than done, of course. Yeah.
You have a dog called Lux.
I do. Yeah.
Different outlooks.
Different outlooks, yeah.
Bad puns. I'm on bad puns.
Yeah, you're right.
You saying about that happiness? What was it called?
Happiness Advantage. Fascinating.
I mean, we were talking about League of Legends and how you get things, and there's free rank splits. You can get free Victoria skins now and all that stuff. It's like that event we've just gone to, the LoL community event. Yeah. A lot of different tasks, lots of freebies, happiness things, luck things.
Lots of cool things. Yeah. And nobody's walking away from that community event feeling that wasn't good. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Really and credit to Riot. Yeah. I'm not just saying that, but I want more of it now. Because I was saying this on streams a year ago. We don't have anything in the UK. This year's been pretty good, actually, because we've had MSI. And if my sources are anything to go by, we will get Worlds or a part of Worlds next year in 2024. I'm very confident of that, more confident than I was with MSI, but it's still a long way away.
Yeah.
So Riot may have changed their mind. We don't know yet.
Yeah.
But keep going, please, Riot.
Please, yeah,
We're out of COVID now, long out of it. Well, on the radio up. It's a weird story. It was something on the radio about they found, I don't know, I could be wrong with this, 34 new variants and 5 people have been seriously hospitalised. What?
Press, mate, sometimes, yeah.
A bunch of dickheads, aren't they? That's journalists, these journalist people.
Yeah, I stay away from that stuff. Yeah. And I agreed. I stay away from that stuff, mate. It's like, it doesn't affect my life. I'm like one of those, and people hate that approach, right? If it doesn't affect me, I don't care type of thing. But like,
ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, it is really.
Listen, I had to do it.
Going on, man. Too many things.
I had to do it with COVID and with the horrible Russia-Ukraine situation. Obviously, when those stories first broke, COVID and that, I was listening to the news all the time. When it gets to a week or two, that was affecting my mental health. I had to switch some of that off. And like, okay, I'm going to check the main headlines. I'll check the headlines once a week about that stuff, but I'm not going to do it 24/7 because it was bringing me down. The Ukraine-Russia thing, I was thinking about my kids and what's going to happen in the future. It's out of your control. Yeah. Like, my mum-in-law said that to me, actually, when we was talking about that after Russia invaded Ukraine. Yeah. You know, she's similar to me in that, you worry about it, but then she also said to me, well, there's nothing we can do about it. There are some things you can do with stuff like that, but we can't stop the war tomorrow as much as we want.
Yeah, mate, I just don't know when the last time I watched the news, to be honest. I think the last time when I sat down with my parents and ate dinner in the living room or something, which was years ago.
I have to say, I don't know if it's because I'm becoming more and more of a boomer. On my smart TV, I mean, I've been watching Star Wars and Disney Plus and that over the evenings. But when it's not on, when I exit the Disney Plus app, it brings up live TV. So I do have news on quite a bit. Like stuff like that, which I don't mind. I have it on in the background while I'm doing an article or something.
Interesting that, yeah. I get my news now basically from either Twitter, YouTube, because I follow decent outlets on YouTube. And
gaming news for YouTube, I do, yeah.
Yeah, I just like that, the Daily Mail, when it's like 30-second video of like what's happened. You know what I mean?
The Daily Mail.
I don't know if it's Daily Mail, I don't know. Is Daily Mail bad, is it? Is it more right-wing, is it?
Yeah.
Is it really right-wing, is it? Yeah.
And it's interesting, I was talking to someone the other day, my parents, shout out to my parents, thanks for bringing me in. They read, growing up, they've read Daily Mail, that's their paper. But when I was young, it wasn't that bad. 25 years ago, it wasn't that bad.
Really, yeah.
It seems to have got very right-wing, very horrible and like grotesque over the past decade.
What's the most left-wing one? Is it The Guardian? Is it typically... Guardian is known as being pretty left-wing. I quite like Guardian. I don't regard myself as fully... I think I'm pretty central, but I do quite like Guardian. And I like The Independent. I don't think The Independent gets enough plaudits because maybe because... it's a bit bland like straight down the middle and on the fence. But that's the kind of journalism I like to do. So although it can be a bit boring, I do like the snapshot of headlines I get in the daily newsletters. And then BBC is supposed to be neutral, right? But they kind of.
I used to like BBC a lot, and over the years I've been a bit not sure.
They sway a lot, don't they? Yeah, they pick.
It depends what it is, because let's not forget the BBC. We say the BBC. It's thousands of people or whatever it is, hundreds of people. Some of those people are very good reporters. Some aren't as good as the others, or they'll have agendas and things.
Do you know, you heard a guy called Christopher Hitchens?
That rings a bell.
Hitchens, yeah. He's dead now, but he was a super left-wing atheist. He was really fascinating, And his brother, still alive, Peter Hitchens, seems to lean more to the right, interestingly enough.
It's weird, isn't it?
I brought up, I know you're going on a mad tangent here, but I brought up with somebody, so it's a good friend of mine who's like an ex-gambling addict. I told him that I saw a recent video with Peter that he said addiction isn't real, and it's a choice. And I asked him, and I was like, what are your thoughts? And he was like, obviously, I do think it's real. And I thought that was fascinating because it's like, Peter thinks it's a choice, like it's a choice, and there's clearly something of like, you obviously get this dopamine rush, right? And then you kind of got to also relate it back when we were fucking, hunter-gatherer, like where would that come from? You'd rarely get a dopamine rush, let alone dopamine like that when you're gambling or when you're smoking or whatever act that you're doing, right? You're not supposed to get that much access to it. So what does that do to the brain? Like
know.
clearly just
Yeah, it's not
sends it into a loop of like need more.
That ties in with games, with
100%.
climbing up ranks or unlocking new things, completing games,
loot boxes and all that shit.
As I've got older, I like my single player games because I write about League, I write about Valorant, this and that. Those games are stressful to play.
Yes. Yeah.
Sometimes those stressful games can give you those enormous highs, but they can give you enormous lows as well. Whereas if I'm playing Cyberpunk by myself or Horizon or whatever it is, it's like, oh cool, I found a new thing, I've done it, and I can relax. There's no one watching me, there's no other player saying, haha, noob, or whatever else, and I can relax.
You'd love Starfield. Really love Starfield.
He's been trying to sell me into this game.
Like
Although I heard Baldur's... But the thing is though, Nath, for Starfield I need to buy an Xbox. At the moment I've got a PS4 and a Switch.
You got a PC?
My graphics card ain't good. I'd need to upgrade it.
Okay.
I could do it on PC. But then I like the idea of PS5 because eventually upgrading to that because Baldur's Gate on there is meant to be very, very good.
You played Baldur's Gate?
I haven't played it yet, number 3. It's meant to be good.
I got it and it's like, it's just not my type of game. I can see... Mate, I can appreciate how it's just on a whole nother level. Nothing like it, is there? Nothing like it. But it's not my type of game because it's turn-based and it's not my
I like turn-based, Advance Wars and all that stuff. What you were saying about addiction isn't a choice, I kind of agree. I mean, but in the first instance, so that if you're addicted to gambling, the first time you went on a roulette wheel or whatever else, that would have been your choice to try it. But then you getting addicted to it, it is kind of a subconscious thing, isn't it?
And it's also, to put it simply, and this was like the total sway from my side, was that why would somebody choose to lose all their money and get very depressed?
You wouldn't.
Nobody would. No. Nobody in their right mind would. There's nothing fun about that. No. Nobody wants to ruin their friendship, their relationships, their family friend. Like nobody wants to do that.
And that shows how dangerous
that's where it becomes bad.
Boxes with kids and all that stuff.
Yeah. And because people think addiction is just like smoking or gambling. It's like it's everything. Because everything can.
You could get addicted to anything. You could get addicted to recording Boomer and Zoomer podcasts.
Don't think I could.
What are we up to 9 in 2 years, 2.5 years?
Yeah.
I feel like we haven't done bad. We've done one 3 months ago.
Right now, after a 14-hour day, I don't think I'll get addicted to Boomer and Zoomer podcasts.
Can you imagine if we pack all this away and you're like, Dom, you got any more of those Boomer and Zoomer podcasts?
Please, let's record another one. Come on, next episode, let's go. In the other room, different background, quick, let's go. Swap t-shirts so we look different.
That's it.
Fucking hell.
I think I'm out of things, Nath. You want to chat about anything else?
Should we end on something? What's a good thing to end on? You got anything you're looking forward to coming up?
There was a bottle over there just popped by itself. Noises in the night. I don't know what it is. I stay up late. My kids go to bed, my wife goes to bed. I've got... my kitchen area is quite big, not massive, but like echoey a little bit. There's not a lot in there. It's still quite new. And then when I'm in the living room, I hear some nonsense going on out there sometimes.
Some nonsense.
And my wife has said to me, I think it's like the floorboards where they were put down, they're cracking and that, but they've been put down a year ago now. I will say I have a water softener where I live in Suffolk. You put salt in this water softener, and
what if we find out?
That makes a noise.
This is all because you've got somebody that you don't know in the house that goes downstairs.
My children are never watching this episode because my 3-year-olds are at that thing. If I don't like the dark, there's monsters. I'm like, there's no such thing as monsters.
Yeah, but what if there's a little clown sneaking out in the night?
Do you believe in supernatural anything?
No, I think it's ludicrous.
Not at all?
No.
You don't believe in ghosts or anything like that?
Oh, no.
Spirits?
I'm reading a fascinating book. I can't mention the title because it's very controversial.
Okay.
I'll tell you afterwards.
I think I might guess. Go on.
Yeah. I think I've posted about it. Yeah. But I don't. Yeah, because it's just it's like no. Do I get sentimental about things? Like I don't believe there's a wider power out there, right? Do you know what I mean? But I get like sentimental with stuff around us because it is crazy, isn't it? It's crazy that we're here, like crazy. It's so fucking strange.
Are you an atheist? Can I ask?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
I'm a bit Christian.
You're a bit Christian, yeah. So I'm an atheist in the sense of like I can't prove God's not real. I can't prove God's real. So I just take a good bet that.
So
he's
you
not.
might be agnostic though. Because I get.
I think I'm agnostic atheist in the sense of like I'm like 90% sure that he's not, but nobody can prove it. Let's be honest. Yeah, nobody's full atheist really because nobody can prove it.
Like, my wife believes there's something, but she doesn't know what it is.
I think I'm a fascinated an attachment of what Einstein put it. He talked about God, but he didn't mean God in like, you know, Christianity sense or Islam. Like, he meant God as like this force of like.
But this is the thing. This is why I say I'm a little bit Christian, because I got married in a church a few years ago. My wife isn't a Christian, and I did the Alpha course thing. I wanted to experience it. And the person who taught that course, like, shout out to the person who married my wife and I. She was really good, because I asked her a lot of difficult questions about dinosaurs, about space, about this and that. And she said to me, well, listen, like, the people who wrote the Bible, that's only based on what they know. And I've said to her, so in your theory then, God created all planets? She's like, yeah. It doesn't mean God created the Earth, but the Bible not saying didn't create other things doesn't mean he didn't. No, of course, he did or didn't. And that's really hard. So I interpret things different. This is why I say I'm not a full-on Christian, because I probably interpret things. Some Christians out there will probably think you're not a Christian, Dom. Well, I think, you know, some of my beliefs.
What people forget nowadays, which is very easy to forget, is where it's all stemmed from, being the Old Testament, which is not.
Yeah.
A nice,
no, it's not nice.
Not a very.
It's not nice, and the world has changed. Yes. So if someone if the Bible hadn't been written and someone wrote it today, it would be very different.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is like, the great argument is that, okay, wipe everything science, in 100 years they'll come to the same judgments. Wipe religion, in 100 years it'll be a totally different output. You know what I mean?
Do you believe in the Big Bang happening?
I think I'd be leaning more towards it. Yeah, I don't think anyone's in the right mind to say 100% agree with anything. Do you know what I mean?
What caused it?
What caused the Big Bang? Yeah.
This is it. You can go around in circles, can't you? It's hard.
God, right? Yeah,
it's hard.
I remember in religious education when, like, my teacher said that, I was like, oh shit, yeah, that is. I was like, wait a second, that is a.
Gets you thinking, doesn't it?
It's fascinating. I think, look, realistically, like, we're very. I don't want to call it luck. It's like, look, because we're here because of just evolution. Clearly, do you know what I mean? I'm a big Darwin fan and believe in everything. Of that.
Darwin Awards, shout out.
Yeah, shout out. But I think that's fascinating. But yeah, I don't think I'm in any right mind to say I 100% agree with this, 100% agree with that, because nobody knows. Nobody ever knows, right? No. But I will say that I think there's unfortunately some people that use certain things and causes to their advantage, and therefore disadvantages large populations of people, which I don't agree with, which I think is terrible. Yeah. I think any human with a mind would think that's terrible too, right?
Let me just check something, Nath. Oh, it's still recording. Okay. I was just gonna say, do you believe in an esports god or the esports gods? Because some people say there's football gods out there, right? Where teams deserve to win. No, solo queue gods, no.
Nothing like that. But that's fascinating, though, isn't it? In the sense of, like, why do we not believe in Thor and Zeus anymore? Do you know what I mean?
I love Greek mythology. I love it. I love all those stories. I love God of War, all of that stuff. I want to read, is it Mythos or whatever it is? Stephen Fry's done a bunch of things. I want to get into a lot of that. Homer, not the Simpsons Homer.
Yeah, I know.
I love all that stuff.
Fascinating.
Because, and you can see how when people back then would have thought, oh, that's the god of light or whatever, Poseidon and all that stuff.
Yeah, they're terrified of it, right? So it makes sense.
It's the esports god.
I'm fascinated in Roman.
I'm just going to get a door locked for you. So
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Cheers. But mate,
that could have been a sign.
Yeah. I'm fascinated in Roman history too. Like, it's fascinating because it kind of created the Western world, didn't it? Really? They weren't lovely people, were they? They killed a lot of people and conquered them.
The Romans? Yeah. They gave us roads.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, we'll take some roads, won't we? Yeah,
it is.
And then they built a pretty shitty wall to cut off Scotland, didn't they? Hadrian's Wall, yeah. Which is what Game of Thrones is based off.
I forgot that was a Romans thing. I'm not very good with history. I'm good with, like, World of Warcraft history, League of Legends history.
It's funny, isn't it? Because it's funny how they looked at the Scottish people and were like, oh, they're barbarians, so let's build a wall. It's like, okay, sure. Got you. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And isn't that interesting? We haven't... How long ago was that? And just the other year, Trump wanted to build a wall to stop Mexicans getting in, or whatever it was he was doing. Illegal people getting illegally into the US. Anyway, we've gone on a real tangent here. Half of this podcast hasn't been about esports, but then sometimes it's nice to just chat about this stuff, you know. And
so nutritional to the brain. I love having those conversations. Yeah,
it's good to do. You need to do it, and I don't do it enough anymore. I think the older you get, the more stuck in your ways you can get, which is why I like esports. Keeps me youthful, to be honest. That's one of the things I like about the industry. And listen, I have said when I hit 40, I'm not going to feel that comfortable walking around the LAN talking to 20-somethings. It just feels a bit weird that I'm double age. Because I'm not double your age, but I almost am.
No, but like, you're harmless. Anyone that knows Dom Sacco, there's no weird.
No, I don't mean anything like that. I just feel like I'm. It's just a bit odd.
That, really.
But then the thing is, as esports and gaming goes on, you will get older gamers like me. There are older gamers than me, isn't there? There's the Skyrim Nan or whatever.
Yeah, because you're only, everyone's aging at the same time, so it'll become natural. Yeah, it's weird looking at it now, but in 10 years it'll be like normal. Yeah, of course it will. Yeah.
I'm gonna be 47 in 10 years.
Wow, Dom.
You'll be 32,
33.
33.
Yeah. Mad that, isn't it?
So in 10 years, you won't even be catching up. No, of course you won't. Yeah, but
Yeah, because we stay at the same.
Well,
When you hit 40, I'll get 35, and then we'll catch up. Yeah.
What will Nathan Edmonds be doing in 2033?
Well, I'd hope I have settled down with the love of my life, maybe have a child or two, and be hopefully very successful.
I can give you some pointers.
Yeah, I see. Mate, I'd love
parenting.
I just can't wait to be a father, man. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I can't
See,
wait.
I wasn't ready at your age at all. When I was at your age, I'd not long met my now wife. Obviously, wasn't married back then, but and then her younger sister had a child quite young. So my now wife was like, interested in, and started thinking about it. But I wasn't ready until like my late 20s, like 30. And then when I got to my late 20s, my wife was in career mode. She'd got a job. So then we waited another couple of years, but then we were both 30 or early 30s. I was ready. And there were ups and downs. You can look at it. Because you see some people who had children at whatever, between 18 to 24. And, okay, maybe they miss out on some of their freedoms and things early on. But it also means... I think the older you get, the harder it is to bring up a child because it is stressful.
Oh, for sure, absolutely, yeah. I just, I really don't want to be a girl dad. You know what I mean? Really.
I'm lucky. I've got 2 boys, 1 girl. I didn't think I was going to have a girl. I'm lucky with the twins. I lucked out. I've got 1 boy, 1 girl. Mate. And it is nice. And all these things, I know my wife and I were very careful with. Being completely neutral with toys, seeing what they like, this and that. But my daughter, she just loves pink, rainbows, unicorns, mermaids, like a lot of the stereotypical stuff, and there's nothing we can do.
I'm a big believer in let them do what they want, play and just let them explore as much as they want.
It's all the fun. And we were talking about that. I think next Insomnia, I'm going to try and bring my oldest son here because he'll be 7 next year. He'll be 7 at the end of this year. But I've got to work out, I was saying to Nathan before we hit record, how I bring him, how I do work. I mean, I don't think my wife's going to want to come to Insomnia. Maybe someone else will want to come and look after him while I do some interviews. Or, if I get a coverage partner, someone else can do the interviews and I will. I mean, I wasn't going to come to Insomnia. It was a last minute thing. Nath, any other parting words? I feel like this has been a really nice chat about meandering across different aspects, religion and all kinds of stuff, franchising.
Pleasure as always, mate. Pleasure as always. Yeah, we need to do it more often, don't we?
We should, even if it's once a month or so. And let us know what you thought. We didn't get many comments. We had a few comments in the first few, but the recent few we haven't. But I feel like this has been a nice in-depth chat. Let us know if you want to see what you thought of this podcast, what you'd like to see us talk about, because this is not scripted at all. The first few weren't scripted, but we had a list of discussion points. These we don't. It's all off the top of our head, which I think is natural.
I agree. I think it's better.
So let us know what you'd like to see or what you thought of this. Please drop a comment and a like and all of that. Yinsu Collins just reminded me, she's done an outro. You've been watching Esports News UK. Drop a like and subscribe and a heart thing. And I keep forgetting to put that in. So maybe I'll put the Yinsu outro.
He loves to. Thanks guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next one, whenever that is. Bye.
Boomer and Zoomer out.